All right, here's a drone video for the 53-acre tract up at the Lake of the Ozarks. You can see the open meadow there toward the bottom of the screen. The property starts basically at the bottom of the screen and goes up toward the top of the screen. Toward the right of the open meadow, that's Pearson Creek, running along the east side of the property. So from that meadow, go to the left, it goes up that hill, and then it goes north quite a bit. So I mean, check out the maps to see exactly how it's situated, but this will give you a great overview of the area. We're looking down the easement road, looking westerly, and this is the way that we came into the property when we drove onto it. So the easement road goes off. That straight line you see cutting through is a power line. The easement road goes back that and then up to Dodds Camp Road. And now panning back northerly, looking over the property. The truck is actually parked toward the northeast side of the field there. You can see the little red speck. This is a fantastic property. We were so excited to get out there and take a look at it. We originally had this property 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. I'm not sure, something like that. And it was either leased or sold or under contract. And we made a deal and we got it back. So we had not seen this property for years prior to this, and we were very impressed to see what it looked like. We're flying northerly now. So lots of different building sites. There are different trails and whatnot throughout the property. This was logged just before we got it quite a few years ago. So it has some large timber, quite a bit of medium-sized timber, and tens of thousands of younger trees that are growing up. There's the Lake of the Ozarks. So the property goes actually within just a few hundred feet of Lake of the Ozarks on the west side of Dodds Camp Road. A couple different spots where you could have a lake view. When we did this is a beautiful section of Lake of the Ozarks, by the way. It's very, very nice for families. The fishing is phenomenal. It's quite a bit quieter than the party section of the lake, which is to the east of here, down toward Camdenton. You see a lot of fishermen up here, and you see a lot of families pulling tubes and jet skis, and this is our ideal section of Lake of the Ozarks where we personally take family vacations every year. So now we're toward the northern end of the property. We're looking north. I think what I was about to say was a couple different spots that years ago when we were out here had tremendous lake views, and now that these younger trees have started growing, they grow so quickly that they obscured some of the lake views, so you might have to get in and bring your chainsaw and open those up again, but definitely potential for just world-class building sites. Now we're kind of looking southerly. There was one spot in particular toward the south end of the property, and I remember taking the four-wheeler up there years ago, and as you look to the east, you're overlooking that beautiful meadow and Pearson Creek, and as you look to the north, you can see the Lake of the Ozarks. So that would be one of my preferred spots for building or camping on this property. So now looking southerly, we're over about the north side of the property. There are some sections with actually some really good timber left, and there are sections that are more open. There's Dodds Camp Road toward about the center of the screen. We're looking southerly. So the property actually has roughly 500 feet of direct frontage on Dodds Camp Road, but there's no driveway. It was never accessed off of Dodds Camp Road here because you do have to drive across Pearson Creek. And that's not a deal breaker. A lot of properties are accessed driving across a gravel creek bed. Pearson Creek generally is not a huge river with several feet of water. It's generally got maybe between 6 and 8 or 10 inches of water in it. So there is a possibility to do the access that way. If you look at that straight line toward the left of the screen going back where those power lines are, the maps indicate that that's actually an old subdivision road, and that could potentially be another way to access the property. You'd still be crossing the creek bed, but it leads to 2 different areas on the creek bed. One of them in particular, you could potentially, with a truck or an SUV, drive right across and onto the meadow area in the property. So that'd be something you're welcome to check out. If you did add an access point that way, I can tell you it would greatly improve the value of the property. So that's something you might want to look into. But even if you don't, you do have direct legal access via those easement roads, which come into the south end of the property. You can check out the maps to see those. But those are survey recorded easements, so you're good to go. So there's Dodds Camp Road. On the right is Pearson Creek, and the bulk of the property sits to the right of Pearson Creek. So you can see right in this area there is a ton of big timber. The meadow area in particular, we saw quite a few walnut trees, and those are a cash crop. The longer you wait, the bigger and more valuable they get. Hardwood trees as well, but the walnut trees in particular are kind of a specialty wood, so those can be extremely valuable. I should mention with that while you're making payments on the property, you can't cut or sell any timber with a stump diameter of over 8 inches in size. So once the property is paid for in full, you're welcome to do whatever you like with the timber, but while you're making payments, you cannot cut the large and medium-sized timber without written permission, which we generally can give you if you're doing some trails or some building sites or whatnot. So now we're looking down on Pearson Creek, and the property, of course, is on the right. So the meadow is roughly 5 acres in size, so even though it's quite a large meadow, it's just a small fraction of this property. This is a big property. Tons of gravel. I mean, that's a nice creek bed with gravel and rock. So for building projects, for landscaping, you've got, I mean, literally a lifetime supply, tens of thousands of dollars worth of gravel there. I don't know, we haven't seen much of this property. The part we did see years ago was just a couple of the small trails when we had the four-wheeler out here, so you're welcome to come explore it. I mean, you can spend days and days out here and not see everything on a property this size. I mean, you're going to have all kinds of cool stuff with the views, you'll find rock formations. I mean, looking at the topo maps, there potentially could be one or more small live springs. We have no idea, we haven't looked, but the topography is right for it. Obviously, Pearson Creek is fantastic, and that's beautiful. I mean, that's something you could easily check out. The meadow itself really needs to be mowed. It needs to be brush hogged. It's been quite a few years. I do recall seeing it after it was mowed a few years ago, and it's absolutely stunning. It's just a beautiful meadow, beautiful feeling of peace and tranquility because it's completely surrounded by trees, and extremely private. So you have the creek on the east, you got the trees, and it rises up on the west, and you've just got, I don't think we've ever had a property that had so much going on. I don't think we've ever had a property with this much creek frontage. This has about a half mile of frontage on Pearson Creek on its east side, which is pretty phenomenal. And Pearson Creek flows into and helps create the Lake of the Ozarks, literally about 300 feet north of this property. So pretty cool. So as we look westerly, we're kind of overlooking one of those building sites I mentioned earlier that we saw years ago, if you're looking for a really special site. Deer and turkey are phenomenal out here, absolutely fantastic. This is a proven area for big deer and turkey as well. Whether you hunt or whether you just like to watch the wildlife, it is fantastic. Lake of the Ozarks is right there. You've got different access points to the lake. Nearby cities would be Camdenton. Climax Springs is a small city which is closer than Camdenton. And there's plenty to do up here. It's unbelievable. InstantAcres.com to see if this property is still available, or give us a call in the office or shoot us an email at sales@instantacres.com. This is a nice one.